Hey guys, welcome back to Filter Coffee Footy. Today we are here to talk about the issues going on at Manchester United. Lots and lots of issues and lots of stuff to talk about, but we wanted to try and narrow it down to what we think are the three main reasons why United is just struggling, despite all reasons pointing towards they should be succeeding at this point in their footballing journey, so to say, especially with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer almost 3 years on the helm now. So, problem number one: Cristiano Ronaldo. Karthik, why don't you start off?
I mean, you knew off the bat what he does do on the pitch and what he doesn't. What he doesn't is not track back, and he's not track back since like his Real Madrid days. So expecting someone to do that after like 10 years, that's a huge mistake that you do. And the bigger issue is, I mean, if he's not tracking back, he's not contributing to your defensive aspect where your attackers also have to contribute to the defensive aspect of the game when you're chasing or when you're fighting for possession of the ball. I think that actually puts a bigger handicap on United on how they can utilize other players because they have to first figure out how they stuff in Ronaldo because he's your star signing, right? So he has to play every game. And second, now that you are playing Ronaldo, you have to figure out someone else in the team who will do more defensive work and who will probably make up for what he does not do. So these aspects really hurt them.
The other issue that I think Ronaldo creates is, for all intents and purposes, they already had an experienced goal scorer in the wings to help kind of breed in the new generation. But with Ronaldo coming in, you have players like Edinson Cavani who are basically strapped for game time, although he's had some moments in there. Marshall essentially frozen out of the team. Um, Rashford, now that he's fit, he's being put into the squad, but because of that, Paul Pogba is missing out on his role on the left hand side and put back into that double pivot where he's clearly not been good. And Mason Greenwood is also now playing on the right instead of playing through the middle, which again, he wants to be a central striker. He has all the attributes for that. And because he's on the right, someone like Jadon Sancho, who you spent 80 million on, is also not able to play. So that's I think the other part of the Ronaldo issue is just so many other players that are actually missing out and players who should be growing into their roles and becoming better players at this point. Jumping right off from the Jadon Sancho issue that I mentioned is United just not utilizing their entire squad. So many game weeks in, they've played over a dozen matches now. Clearly, you know that there are holes in that XI, but there are players that the team has, really good players. I mean, Jadon Sancho essentially the next big thing in world football. Van de Beek may not be the biggest superstar, but again, coming from an Ajax academy, born and bred in the Dutch style of football, and really amazing for Ajax while he was there. Seeing no game time at all. I mean, you know you have holes in the team. Why are you not trying to fix them with players that you have on hand? I don't know if it's something that he's seeing in training. I don't know if it's some sort of an internal tussle with the players. But I don't understand why these players are just not getting any game time at all. You spent 120 million on these two players, and yet you are having Matic start in midfield in defense. You have Fred and McTominay sharing so much game time together and making so many errors on the pitch. And a United team that has only one person on the field pretty much all the time trying to create in Bruno Fernandes because Paul Pogba is getting in and out of the team. And you have another amazing creator in your team in Jadon Sancho, and you're not even giving him a chance to get some game time, build some form, because that's how you build form, not by having training sessions, but by actually playing in the league and facing opposition. Well, do you have anything else to add to that bit?
Why is it that you need a certain type of player to like make your best 11 possible or to like get your squad playing? You have a 28 man squad, if I'm not wrong. So let's assume 8 players in that squad are washed up or are just reserves or are just there to fill the numbers. You still have 20 players in the squad. Now let's say four of them are always injured. Four of those players are always injured or on the table or having some or the other sort of trouble. You still have 16 players. I still don't understand why you don't have the good talent that's on the bench, not on the pitch. But you have a Matic who comes on as a 70th or 75th minute sub and eventually takes a yellow card for the team because one, he's lost all of his attributes, two, he's old, three, he's not going to contribute to your attack. So it's like you've substituted a player who's negatively contributing to your team. How do you expect to win games or get points if you're already pulling a team that's falling even farther? You're pulling that team even more lower. How is that helping? That's something that I really don't understand.
And that actually brings us to our third point, is which is more of an excuse. The third reason why United are failing to succeed is the excuse that they need a defensive midfielder to complete the squad. Now this baffles me. If you go through United's strongest XI on the pitch, any person who knows even the slightest bit about football can tell you they only have one glaring error on that pitch, which is the absence of one out and out defensive midfielder. Outside of that, they are absolutely stacked in every other position on the field. Especially after the last transfer window that they had, they have an absolutely amazing squad back to front, except you can say that one position on the pitch. Now, the question is, when did football move from a game of having the absolute best 11 players on the pitch from what it originally was, which was a tactical game between teams, 11 men on the pitch with tactical football and strategies that help you overcome your opposition as opposed to just having the best XI? This comes down to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. For anybody who defends United saying that, oh, they just need a DM to complete that team, they shouldn't have to rely on one player to come in and change the entire structure of your team. Now, agreed, there are arguments to say people like Van Dijk came into Liverpool and changed the face of the team. You had Ruben Diaz come in and change the face of Manchester City when he came in last season. But that's still a really good team. You're talking about teams that were already really good and players who took them to the next level. Right now,
True.
you're talking about a team that has like 11, 12 world class players, and you're still asking for one more player to get them to even compete against teams like Liverpool, Manchester City, and Chelsea, which is just absurd to me. And again, points to the fact that there is just no tactical awareness. There is no ability in the manager to mask the absence of a defensive frailty. And that's why you pay managers the big money. If it was just getting 11 players on the pitch who are really good and having them play, why do you even have a manager on the field? And like, what is the coach doing in that situation? So the excuse that they need a DM to complete that team is just absolutely absurd.
Now you have to work around with certain handicaps and certain limits, right? That's what every team in the Premier League does. So why is this a bigger problem is what I don't really understand. I think there are simple formation changes that could help United, but maybe that's something that Ole has to decide more than us giving out a suggestion.